This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Brian Peña. I always join the Vito podcast, the best podcast in the United States.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired. Get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs.
And we are still not tired on episode number 45 now, Doc, of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Jerome Churko, alongside the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, how's it going?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Always enjoy our conversations. I can't believe in just 2 short weeks since we debuted Vito's Love Tales, it's already taken a turn for the positive. I'm so happy that our public service announcement, our goal for you to try and get you to find love has moved in a direction. I thought that maybe it would fall flat on its face. You would never, that you would grow old and be alone.
Oh, so lonely, yeah.
But we'll tease it. In the second half of the podcast, we'll revisit, your love life and figure out what's the next step. Because step 1, for those that haven't followed along, is Vito has now admitted that he's longing for love, and he's looking for love in all the wrong places, and he came to the Doc, his friend, his compadre, his partner in crime, as he always says, and he said, look, I need your help. I need to kind of get my mind right, and we've taken this journey together, and hopefully the payoff is, Vito has me standing up there in his wedding, and we can have a good old time, because if I planned your bachelor party or was part of it, we'd have a good old time.
Oh, God, it would be bad, wouldn't it?
What's up, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Good to be here in the weekend now. Michigan has a big contest against Wisconsin. We know that much. We're 45 episodes deep, though. Do you have a stand-outish moment yet from Two Bad Hombres, Doc, that you can talk about?
Well, the podcast has been going great, man. When we started this, I know that sometimes it's a little bit odd that I'm on so many of the podcasts, but the good thing is I feel like I have been able to showcase the other hosts as well. So doing this with you has been fun because we just joke about our lives. I feel like the episode that, maybe I think 2 episodes ago where we were going back and forth and sharing a little bit about my musical tastes and talking about me a little bit was good. I feel like the guests that we've brought in, obviously, interviewing Milton McCrory was awesome. Having UFC fighters in here was awesome. And so just the nature of the podcast has been fun in that we've been able to have guests, have some fun conversation, and a lot of laughs. I think the ribbing back and forth between you and I has been fun, and I hope we get a chance to do a lot more.
Thomas Hitman Hearns? You forgot about him? Come on, the Hitman, he's going to come and beat you up now.
See, that's true.
Don't get him angry.
Having the Hitman in our presence was awesome, and doing this podcast each and every week, I really do enjoy it. It's a fun time to kind of catch up because that's kind of how, to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. The goal is kind of to act like we're at the bar shooting the shit, throwing some back, and this is what we'll be talking about.
Well, you know what? One thing I will be talking about at the bar right now is Martellus Bennett. Have you heard about Martellus Bennett, what happened with the doctor situation in Green Bay? He was a Green Bay Packer, and a team that I hate. I think all Lions fans do, Doc. Now he went back to his ex-team in the New England Patriots over a dispute with the Packers about whether or not the team physician, team doctor of the Packers treated him fairly with his injury. I believe it was a shoulder injury for Martellus Bennett. So Bennett, over that dispute, over that injury that Bennett said wasn't treated properly by the Packers team doctor, he leaves the Packers and now goes to the Patriots.
Very odd story, Vito, because of the fact that he came out and said that he did not belong on the field. Okay, fine. Football is a brutal sport. It is a sport where you have to be really 100% to get out there. You don't want to risk injury. A lot of people are discussing the whole notion of CTE and what football does to the human body. But then when you're, let go of by the team, and you come out and you blast the doctor, how are you going to go then to New England and then be active? We all thought that you needed to be in surgery, that you needed to be off the field. So it led a lot of people to criticize Bennett and say, oh, okay, you're healthy enough to play for the Patriots, but when it comes down to playing for the Packers, you might have been too hurt. So a lot of people are questioning him. But for us here in Detroit, we can relate to it personally with the whole tales of DeAndre Levy. And I feel like his tale that he told is really damning of the Detroit Lions in that they wanted potentially him to be on the field earlier or sooner than he was ready. he has a major grievance with the Lions because he feels like he was incorrectly cleared to play and passed the physical incorrectly just so that he could be cut, which is in the rules, is that you can't cut an injured player at that point in time. For his contract, they cleared him so that the next day they could cut him, avoiding having to pay him $1.5 million. So DeAndre Levy has a major beef with the Detroit Lions and has talked about, CTE and the really odd relationship between team doctors and the players. And for those that don't know, the theory is that it's a little bit hard for a team doctor that's working and getting paid by an NFL team to accurately assess and treat an NFL player, because if a doctor is always sending players to the sidelines and their asses are not on the field, then the organizations are paying players not to play. And so doctors, they risk losing a lot of their big-time bonuses and pluses that they get from working with a team doctor. Because you got to remember, if you go to one of these doctors that works for a team, they highlight it all over their office. I'm the team doctor of the Lions. I'm the team dentist of the Lions. And that helps add credibility because, if the Lions hired Dr. Schmo and Schmo, then he must be really good. So they don't want to lose that. And that's why my thinking is, and the easy cure, the common sense cure is, team doctors need to be objective. You want to have two different people reviewing a case. If you want to have the team doctor weigh in, opinion one, that's fine. Opinion two needs to be an independent party.
But what do you employ the Packers team doctor for then? And guess what? Now, Martellus Bennett has caused his name, this Packers team doctor's name, to be dirtied, and unrightfully so when you consider the fact that all these other Packers current players came out to support their team doctor for fairly treating their injuries and rehab processes in the past. So Jordy Nelson came out. I guess he never goes on social media. He came out and supported this team doctor. Aaron Rodgers, their team MVP, their franchise passer, came out and supported the Packers team doctor. Jermichael Finley, a guy that has been critical of the Packers in recent memory, came out and supported the Packers team doctor. So this team doctor had his name dirtied by one individual, Martellus Bennett, and now his name's out there in the national spotlight for the wrong reasons, when this guy's name should be in the public spotlight for the right reasons, for being a good team doctor, it seems. And then Bennett just goes, now his name has been brought up and criticized now recently because it looks like he dirtied this Packers team doctor just to get his way out of Green Bay and to get back to New England where he can win games more effectively moving forward, and consistently is really the term to use here, because the Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season because of a broken collarbone, most likely. So he goes to New England, back to Tom Brady, and who wouldn't want to play for the ageless wonder in Tom Brady? Tom Terrific. It seems like a little bit unfair to what he did to the Packers, and, damning that guy's name, and then the Patriots just picking him up just like that after all of this went down with Martellus and the Packers. You could say there's almost scheming that went down here for Martellus to get back to New England, Doc.
Very good topic that you brought up, Vito, because we can take it a lot of different directions. First thing I want to ask you is, do you think the NFL properly cares for its athletes?
But no, because they care about the players being on the field, because they want their best players on the field no matter what. And you've seen some concussion symptoms that players experience on the field openly not be handled in the proper manner. The NFL has really looked negatively in the limelight from a lot of people, Doc, from a lot of outsiders, when you consider all the CTE issues of recent memory with former players especially, such as Aaron Hernandez, the now deceased Aaron Hernandez. Did you hear about the fact that his brain was discovered to have the most CTE symptoms of any brain ever studied after one passes away? Think about that, Doc. And after all that he went through, all the violent acts that he committed, in his brain, his mental capacity wasn't to the fullest. He wasn't fully there at the end of his life, and maybe it caused him, at least to a certain small extent, to commit those violent acts when he did.
And so the other aspect of it, too, when you talk about player safety, is obviously the whole notion of CTE has kind of really been a black cloud over the NFL. One topic that people are talking about is how viable is the NFL, because attendance is down, ratings are down. People are wondering, look, the quality of play is not the same. People like the violence. They like the hitting. They like the fact that, athletes are these behemoths crash into each other. And so now that that's gone, maybe it's not the same game anymore now that we're focusing on player safety. You can't hit the quarterback. You can't go helmet to helmet. So the violent aspect of the game has been looked at and almost kind of taken out of the game. But you look at some of the things that the NFL is doing in terms of hurting players as well. I haven't watched a single Thursday night game this year. Really, in the end, it is, really challenging for these athletes to play on a Sunday, then have to heal up and then suit up on a Thursday. I mean, Richard Sherman tore his ACL last week. He's a major player, a guy that super popular across the NFL, and he's no longer going to be available for the Seahawks. And people are just looking at it and going, do you really need football on Thursday? Is it really that important? I haven't made Thursday night football a viewing pattern of mine since the time it started. I just don't find myself interested at all in Thursday night football, and they're doing it for money. They're doing it for ratings, and I feel like they haven't recognized that really America doesn't care about Thursday night football. It's Sunday night and Monday night, and let us miss football. When you have football on that many times, you kind of lose people's interest. It's the law of diminishing return.
The NFL has become oversaturated. You're right. That is a right term to use describing the NFL. And those Thursday night games don't rate. Nobody cares about those Thursday night football games, and especially when they're only on NFL Network, and yet you have these teams that are irrelevant going head-to-head. Now, NBC has the end-of-the-season package for Thursday night football. You have more meaningful rivalry games, in-division games, so more people will watch. But the thing is, even Monday night football games, Doc, aren't currently rating, and there's been rumors and reports that Monday Night Football on ESPN will be no longer at one point because ESPN wants to get out of the Monday Night Football game. Think about that as a possibility. They spent like $2 billion to get the Monday Night Football package, and guess what? They still don't get top-notch games, and their games subsequently don't rate. So the NFL has become oversaturated, and you have a broadcaster wanting to back out of a deal, and maybe some of these broadcasting companies too wanting to back out of the Thursday Night Football package because those games aren't rating either, Doc. And the NFL has some major issues for sure on its hands
Do you
as
think
well.
Thursday Night Football will go away? Should the players do something to eliminate Thursday Night Football? Should they, in the next bargaining agreement, should they say, look, we don't want to go to 18 games. We don't want to limit games. Look, 16 games is okay. We understand the grueling nature of the season, but we cannot tolerate playing on a Thursday night. It's just, even though you give us the extra couple days, we don't want to play on Thursday outside of Thanksgiving.
Well, President Vito, I think we did a State of the Union or a declaration for me if I was the president, and, the commissioner of the NFL. Well, I would get rid of the Thursday night football games in totality because guess what? Players are getting hurt. And if you really care about safety, player safety, if I was a member of the NFLPA, I would go directly to Commissioner Goodell and tell him, if you care about our safety, then you don't have Thursday night football games anymore, right? I mean, it comes down to that pure principle. And they really care about player safety, Doc, moving forward. Well, and their livelihoods after their playing careers are over. And for a lot of these guys, they play 3 years tops, something of that sort. So not long careers, as the NFL now is known as not for long, right? And the no fun league. So, if you want to make these players safer and make the game more fun and less oversaturated, you get rid of those NFL Thursday night football games in totality. And I think it's a move that I would make as Commissioner Goodell, but you can't tell him what to do when he's making $50 million a year. I mean, demanding a private jet, health insurance for his whole entire family the rest of his life. Those are demands I believe that he's been asking of from the NFL owners, the 32 NFL teams owners. God, I mean, doesn't he already make enough money and have enough privilege or privileges as the NFL commissioner, Doc? I would say so, and I think it's about time to start giving more privileges and rights to those NFL players that he commissions and oversees.
So obviously, they can do a much better job taking care of the players. They can do a better job of really maybe guaranteeing salary, doing a little better for healthcare because, I mean, you play football and week to week you could get cut. I mean, look at Greg Robinson. We laughed on the network on Doc and Jock and other shows how he was a bust. But dude brought in as a rental. Once the guy comes back, Taylor Decker, he's gone. He's cut. And he gets no more salary. That's it. He's done. He's done making money. The sacrifice that he had to make, I mean, it's hard to get your ass, blown by every single week. I mean, look, he tried to block people, but, I mean, he kept getting his ass knocked over. So he wasn't doing all the blocking. He was doing all the taking. So a guy like Greg Robinson cut, you should at least give him some money, at least to play for the Lions. I mean, shoot. Guarantee is money. Guarantee is salary. Come on, don't you think?
But the thing is, too, what the contrarian can say is that that's why these guys should get their degrees. should have a fallback option, should be more financially savvy. And that's why in these rookie symposiums now, you have these people coming to speak to these rookies about the fact that they need to be financially savvy and save for the future so they don't go broke one day, because too many NFL players, big and to a smaller degree or less known players, go bankrupt at some point in their respective lives. And that's why I think the NFL needs to teach these players about how to better handle themselves after their playing careers do come to an end, Doc.
Understood. I mean, the NFL has a lot of issues.
Yes.
I mean, right now, Vito, the NFL has some major issues. You got writers, you got journalists, you got other owners kind of circling in around Roger Goodell saying, why are we paying this guy this much money? This guy has done some things with the league that maybe has hurt the league, and has done some things in terms of the power that he's now amassed that maybe some people are viewing as out of control, viewing him as a commissioner that has way too much power. And you got Jerry Jones basically causing shit. I mean, he's kind of stirring the pot a little bit, kind of going around saying, look, I'm going to sue the league if Goodell's contract is extended. You got Sally Jenkins, noted writer, I think USA Today. I think she's an amazing writer. She's come out and said, look, why are you paying Roger Goodell more than CEOs of Pepsi, more than CEOs of other companies? Why is this guy making this much money? Now, in terms of his salary, I understand why he makes that much money, because it's capitalism. It's America. The NFL, despite what you think regarding the job that he's doing, the league makes money. The league is bringing in a bunch of money from television. They're bringing in a bunch of money from advertisers. But the big concern is, has Roger Goodell done enough to continue the cash cow going forward? People are starting to prognosticate, and they're thinking that this money bubble with ESPN might break in a couple years. The league right now should have handled, obviously, the anthem protest a lot better. They should have done a little bit more in terms of being uniform regarding the entire league. I mean, look at basketball. They basically have no issues because they have a uniform policy. It's like, this is what you do. In the NFL, it went team by team, and it's caused problems with sponsors, ratings. It's caused problems. And so while the NFL still has a solid foundation right now, there's a lot of cracks that people are looking at regarding what happened to Colin Kaepernick, what's going on with the play, the fact that some of the games just really are awful, the competitiveness of the league, how the players are treated. Adam and I talked about it a couple years ago, and that my fear was just a small little snippet, and that I was a little bit concerned, like, whoa, you got these athletes 24, 25 like yourself playing 2 years and quitting. Yeah. I said, whoa, that's a little bit concerning. That's a red flag. And I said, I asked a couple years back, I said, is that concerning that some of the athletes don't want to play in the NFL anymore? And it might be a big problem in that right now you're seeing in the youth of the game, some of the youth leagues, some parents don't want their kids playing football. And so if you don't have athletes to play, there's a chance in 30 years football might look a lot different, might not even be around. So people are starting to ask those questions, and I think where we can end it with this topic is the state of the league right now could be a lot better. There's a lot of negativity going with player safety and leadership, and if they don't fix it quick, maybe by episode 145, 100 weeks from now, you might have a new commissioner, you might have a new direction, and a lot of people are really starting to whisper 2020 there might be a strike. A realistic chance football goes away for a little bit because the players know, oh shoot, our collective bargaining agreement that we signed is god-awful. It's the worst. You hear it every time an NBA player signs a contract where an average player is making, 6 years, $10 million a year, and you got an NFL athlete grinding, and he can't get $5 million, he gets cut and gets no money guaranteed. There's going to be some labor distress in the coming years. The league is not as safe as it was, and when you start with step one, like we talked about in terms of player safety, you don't take care of your athletes, and CTE is a situation where you have a distrust between the players and management. The league has problems.
How about the NFL not being here by episode number 145 at Two Bad Hombres?
I think it'll
and
be
we
here.
might not be here. But no, I think the NFL, that's hyperbole on my part. I think the NFL will be around. But as lively, maybe not. Maybe not as vibrant and as popular. So you might see diminishing results, and you're already seeing it in ratings and at games for, how about these LA teams like the LA Chargers? Nobody's even showing up to those games already. What does that say about the future state of the NFL? I think you're going to continue seeing diminishing crowds, diminishing ratings until you get rid of Thursday night football and you handle some of these ongoing controversies in the NFL, such as anthem protests, what's going on with Jerry Jones, and with the fact, and it might just be a problem that just lasts forever and ever, even past Roger Goodell being the commissioner of the NFL, but why is a guy like that paid so much money? Now, I know it's a hugely revenue-producing sport, multi-billion-dollar industry, but at a certain point, you got to say enough is enough. And the players, too, have to negotiate for more rights in their the next CBA, because they deserve to be paid more money, more guaranteed money, because there's not enough guaranteed money going around for those guys, and way too much of it going to the commissioner and Roger Goodell, who hasn't handled controversies in the most positive manner in recent memory either. And can you really trust him in being able to handle these controversies that are ongoing right now in the best manner moving forward? You simply can't. He is not really the commissioner for the NFL, the best face for the game moving forward, and that's a problem right there in itself, Doc.
All right, Vito, let's take a quick timeout. Come back. I'm fascinated. I enjoyed the talk. Always enjoy talking football, no doubt about it. But I'm very fascinated to hear how you applied the advice that you got from the DOC regarding your love life. We'll talk about that next.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break on episode number 45 of Two Bad Hombres. And Doc, if you're looking for team apparel for your high school, your club, sports team, or corporation, then look no further than one of my great employers in Top Cat Sales, located in downtown Royal Oak, Michigan, on the east side of Main Street, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan quarterback John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the very highest quality and very best service. So get your organization, your school, or club team all in with Adidas today by emailing sales@topcatteamsales.com. Once again, the email address for Top Cat Sales is sales@topcatteamsales.com. And always, always, always remember to follow Top Cat Sales on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah. That's right.
And back here on episode number 45 of Two Bad Hombres, groundbreaking news to deliver regarding the latest in my love adventures on Two Bad Hombres. And, you know, we moved on from, I think, some negativity with the NFL that we discussed in the first half of this week's episode, and moving on to some positive news regarding my love life, you could argue at least, Doc.
Oh, I'm very fascinated to hear. Let's play a little bit of music for it.
Look at this. Oh, wow. This is lovemaking music, I think.
Is it?
A little bit. You
All
could
right.
argue a little bit there.
So where'd you go this weekend? What'd you do?
So I went out to a place, and I'm sorry I didn't invite you again. I mean, and a thing where I talk about stuff that I did over the weekend that Doc wasn't invited to, and unfortunately wasn't invited to. I will invite him, I promise, one day out to a weekend event. But Nick Schmiegel was there. You know Nick Schmiegel. Have to name drop him. He was there. My brother was there. Big D-O-M, the Dominator. And my friend Brett, who's been a guest on this podcast in the past. Why did you let me call him the Dominator?
The Big Dominator.
The Big Dominator. Domination is key to him.
Is your brother's name, not his phallic symbol's name. That's it. Your brother's name.
No, I don't call. Well, I don't know what he calls it, but I don't call that. Anyways, I shouldn't call him that. Anyways, moving on to something regarding me now. And I had a nice weekend, Doc. I can say that.
Did it happen?
Now, well, I met a woman who came up to me out of the blue, totally random. Okay, and you might not like this fact, though. 33 years old. Came up to me. That might be problematic, but still a woman. Not
That's
bad looking,
awesome.
seemed nice, seemed bubbly, funny. We talked just for a little bit. That's why it was so weird. She came up to me. I didn't do any work. Basically, it's so funny that we just had the podcast last week and talked about my love adventures. This woman literally came up to me, started talking to me. It didn't last more than 10 minutes. And by the end of that chat, she gave me her number. I didn't put any work in, almost. I mean, it felt like I didn't put in any work to warrant that number giving from this woman. 33 years old, and another thing to bring up, I believe she has a kid. That probably kills all momentum, too, that I have built up regarding this incident for myself last weekend. But still, hey, a beautiful moment in my love adventures. Can't argue that, I think, Doc.
Step one, did you get a selfie?
With her? No, I don't do selfies, man. I got her number. That's all I care about.
Okay,
Why do
so-
I got to care about a selfie? Who cares about a selfie with her?
All right, Vito.
Anyways,
you
moving
got
on.
a lot to learn, but
A lot
this
to
is
learn, okay.
what is important in terms of
Uh-huh.
our talks. You have to put this out there in the atmosphere that you're ready for love. And I'm telling you, once that you put that out there, that you're an individual that's looking for love, looking for attention, then it just happens, just like this scenario. So take me through it. What was her, intro line, and how did you guys relate?
Well, it's funny. I'll tell you this, too. To start everything off here, and a backtrack, I guess. I was talking to a Cleveland Browns fan at a bar in Greektown, and this guy was drunk out of his mind, but he loved me, took a shining to me and talked to me for a good half an hour probably, and then ended up buying me a round of drinks. My brother, myself, and my friend Brett, a round of drinks. And just for me talking to him for like a half an hour. He might have been he was drunk. He might have been a bit enamored with my size too, or lack thereof.
Okay.
And he was enjoying chatting with me, and I think he enjoyed the fact that I was open with him, and he was open with me. He has a wife. He's probably around 60, had his son with them. And his son, sad but true, was pretty much the caretaker for this guy because this guy was so drunk. And he had to watch out for his dad. And he was doing so. And the funny thing is, too, regarding all this, is that he was in the bar just talking with me, chatting it up while his son and other friends of his that came with him from Cleveland were outside waiting for him to leave the bar. The guy was not leaving the bar. He bought another drink, and I had to finish it. He took long enough to finish that, then bought the round of drinks for me. And how does this all relate to the girl? I guess we're trying to get to that, right? Well, and the girl just came up to me out of the blue, knew Mick. His name was Mick, so Mick, not Mick the Dick, a good guy, Mick. And this girl obviously knew Mick, and then just started talking to me subsequently, and I guess overheard us talking, overheard me telling him that I was an Italian, a paisan, per se, and he just was loving it, Mick, and then she was loving it, and she's half Italian, half Irish, so a mutt, as you could call it. She called herself that, and yeah, so things just took off after that, and she was loving talking to me, and then
What did you talk to her about?
Gave me her number after about 10 minutes.
Did you say call me?
Well, she just said text me whenever, and I've been texting her.
Oh, you have been?
I have texted her, yeah. It's not that big of news. I mean, groundbreaking in terms of, that we just had this chat last week, and the groundbreaking, or the debut edition of Vito's Love Adventures on Bad Hombres.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
The DOC puts it out there, and this is
Look
what
at that.
happens.
And like, you're gonna take
alert.
You're gonna take all the credit. You think she really heard Bad Hombres last week, and that's why she came over to me and talked to me and gave me her number?
Did you tell her you were a podcaster?
I don't think we got to that. I don't think she cared about that at that moment.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay. Now let's be appropriate here for 1 second.
Yes.
How many texts have you sent to her a little bit?
A few.
A
Six.
few?
A few.
What are you talking about? Just in general, her day and what she's up to?
10. Basic stuff. Nothing dirty. I don't do really dirty texting. I'm not a sexter anyways. I don't see myself sexting this girl either. But I'm going to continue talking to her. I don't mind continuing to talk to her and see where it takes us a little bit.
What are
at
you
least.
talking to her about?
I just asked her so far. I'll tell you the truth. I've asked her about what she does for fun.
Yeah.
She's taken her coworkers out and her daughter out to NYC to Rockefeller, where I think they do the tree lighting around Christmas time in NYC. So she'll be there at one point. I know that much. Yep. So just talking about what she does for fun, and the fact that she is a little bit Italian. She's half Italian and half Irish, so I learned that about her. I learned the fact that she does have a kid, so I now know that about her as well.
But I'm so impressed, Vito. I mean, literally, you're able to maintain a conversation.
Well, you
don't
think I can maintain a conversation.
Remember the advice
just because
that I gave you? That I said you had to be friendly, you had to be somebody that was interesting and fun, and that you were an individual that you kind of got to stimulate them and be their friend and stuff like that. You got a friend. That's awesome. That's really cool. So now the next step, okay? Here's your next step in your advice. It sounds like you guys are friends, okay?
Yes, we are, yeah. I guess you could say that, yeah, we are friends right now.
Invite her for coffee. Just say, hey, would you like to go get some coffee here at Starbucks? I record a really famous podcast, and maybe beforehand, like 1:30. Keep it light, real simple, real fast. You say, hey, let's get some coffee, and let's hang out, and stimulate her mind and have a good time. That's what you do. A first date, usually light, coffee. You can just do it over the course of an hour. Say, hey, I got a couple minutes here and there in your schedule. Can you do coffee in the middle of the day? That way, if it goes great, you can bring it right to the office, and then
you would love that. I don't know.
Oh, dude,
I don't know about that.
Then
Man. Don't get too excited regarding that.
I can stuff your pants full of money. I can then
I wanted to ask you. I love that you use the word stimulate the mind. But I was going to ask you, how much line do I have to do to convince her to like me? Because it sounds like I got to do a lot of line and a lot of padding in my pockets that with money I really don't have.
Vito, you're going to laugh too, because I was thinking about this too, because I'm an egomaniac and I got to humble myself every once in a while. But if you tell me where you guys are going, dude, you know what we could do? She doesn't listen to this.
She doesn't. That's true. That's why I'm talking about it. Trust me.
Exactly. I could slip a kid $15 and be like, go over there and ask for an autograph. And then,
oh my God, that'd be funny.
You go over there, you're sitting down, and then this random person will walk up to you and be like, "Hey, are you Vito from the Detroit Sports Podcast?" And you'll be like, "Yeah." You'll be like, "I'm a big fan.
I would love to sign your."
I'm a huge fan. I listen every week. Your skits are so funny. You're so entertaining. You're so awesome. And they pump you up, and right then and there, you might get some action that night.
Might cash in because of that.
Might cash in. So is this woman lovely? Can I friend her on Facebook just on the side?
Oh, I don't have her on Facebook yet. I don't even know her last name.
You don't know her last name? Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
I don't even know her last name. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
telling you the truth at least here.
Okay. Week 1, good. You got the intro. You
Yeah.
got the intro text. Now the next step is, hey, slip me your Facebook info. Slip me your Instagram info. What's your Snapchat? Okay, because then you now have another way of communicating that can be fun and stuff like that. So she might be looking just for fun. She might be looking for a companion. You might be just friends, but you got to take it to the next step, which is you got to get social media cred. You got to be your friend on different avenues of social media. That way, you can also have conversations not between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., if you know what I'm saying.
Ah, got ya. Really quick, you don't mind the fact that she has a kid?
Not at all.
Okay. I
Listen-
thought you would. I thought you would judge me.
Listen, I know you're looking for love to get married, but when you need
and
a
this
friend...
isn't maybe it. Probably isn't. I've already told my brother. My brother knows he was there, so he saw it happen.
Mm-hmm.
My mom has even been notified of the fact that she's 33. No, I didn't
gotta talk
reveal.
about
I didn't
that.
reveal to her that she has a kid.
We got to talk about that because your mom came in strong when we were talking about girls on the Facebook Live video.
She was loving it.
She said, hey, cut out the talk regarding girls. So I was kind of feeling like, oh, man, I'm the bad influence for Vito. But look, Vito, all we're trying to do is friends are fine. Look, friends maybe with benefits are fine.
Who knows?
And look, everybody needs some companion. And I know you spend a lot of time doing guy stuff, covering sporting events, shooting the shit with me here.
A lot of guys. Yeah.
You hang out with a lot of guys. You need to start racking up some friends that are females. And if not her, maybe she'll introduce you to somebody, down the line that could be of interest to you. Or, like I said, maybe you can befriend her and, be adults about it. You know what I mean?
And help her raise her child. I would love that because I'm such an adult right now.
Oh, yeah.
Respectable man. I could raise her child. Oh, yeah. I'd be so good at that, at being the father, right?
Vito, you're such a nice guy. You're already talking about raising your kid, huh?
I'm joking around. That is a huge bit of hyperbole right there because I do not want to raise a child right now. Now, one day, yes. But I think at 24 years young, I don't think I'm really capable of doing so.
So right here, right now, what are the chances of this? You slip in, have some fun, invite her over. What are the chances this could go down?
Well, I think the chances increase if you have that kid actually come up to me and say, hey, Mr. Vito Churko or Mr. Vito, can I get your autograph, sir? And I'll say, hell yeah, I would love to. Whatever you want, wherever you want me to sign it, I'll do so.
Oh,
and that would look really good for me. But once again, I think it goes back to the point, how much line do we have to do to make this girl really, really like me, right?
Listen, you don't have to lie, Vito. You're an interesting cat. Obviously, she came up to you for a reason. One, you're
Was I?
Italian.
Was I?
You're not ugly.
Well, I'm not, hey, I know that. You don't got to tell me that.
You're not ugly.
Yeah.
Two, in all honesty, you have a decent personality. You can hold up your end of the conversation. You got a lot of great qualities. I mean, you are a writer for the Free Press. You have access to sporting events. You are a worldwide entertainer in that our videos are seen in Ireland. They're seen all over the world. We have a lot of fans, a lot of Lions fans, surprisingly, overseas, across the ocean, across the pond there. So you're an international entertainer. You're a podcaster. And so you're a VIP. You're an important person. So she should be lucky to be able to have conversations with you. And that's so sweet that you're actually texting her. Now, do you see in your head the inkling of potentially having some fun via the text? Like potentially asking,
you like my look. If somebody would have seen my look, right?
like potentially,
I know
like,
what you
hey,
mean.
Like, hey, 12 a.m.
I'm up for it. Are you up for it, right?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Hey,
Is your daughter still up? Your daughter's still
Listen,
there?
It's 2017. You look like a trustworthy guy. Hey, ask. More women than not are sending them. Why not ask?
So wait, time out. You're saying if you were a woman, you would say yes to me?
I feel like nowadays you give a woman a couple glasses of wine, you have a good time, you build that trusting relationship. I don't feel like it's a big deal anymore. People are just doing it. As long as
doing it to do it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, hey, it's 2017.
it's more
Buckle
common,
up,
right?
baby.
It's nothing wrong to ask. I mean, but not right away. I feel like what I'm prepping you for is maybe 8 weeks down the line. You can't do this now. Step one is you got to be friends. You got to be cool. You can't act like a pig and let her know you're a pig right away. Listen, all guys are pigs. But,
yeah, even me.
And she
Somewhere
knows
down
it too.
deep.
Listen, she knows
that.
deep
Well,
down.
she's 33. She's been with guys. Well, she had a man.
Yeah.
She has a
She had a
kid.
baby.
She had a baby. So wait, would I be the? Wait, she would be my baby mama.
Wait, so how
do we describe that really quick? Really, right?
Maybe.
Wouldn't she?
The best.
No. I don't. That'd be if I had a kid.
Vito, sometimes.
Anyway.
you might be mistaking as her kid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I don't know how to describe. Anyways, moving on. What else did you want to say, Dad?
But you guys have been having good conversation.
Yeah.
Are you attracted to her?
Well, honestly,
Yeah.
it was so dark in the bar,
Oh.
and I was drinking. I'll just tell you this: it was such a fun night that by the end of the night, I was in Greektown and dancing on the escalator. You wanted
Are
that?
there videos?
You know what? So my friends got a hold of my phone and started texting this girl themselves.
Yeah.
Wasn't too bad, wasn't too dirty. But then they tried to send you a snap.
Yeah.
And never went through.
Oh, you got
would
it?
have loved it. I don't
Oh.
think I can still send it. I think it's done.
Oh.
It's out of the equation now. It can't be sent. But they were trying to send snaps to everybody, trust me, because I know it was funny. I was having a ball. Trust me. And I wish you would have seen it because you would have done so much with it. I know you.
Oh my gosh.
You would have loved it, man.
Oh man.
I
what
was
a way-
dancing on the escalator. I'm lucky I didn't fall. I'm just that good of a dancer, I guess. I
What
didn't
song
fall.
was playing? You remember?
I was just dancing, being stupid.
Having a good time. Huh?
Yeah.
So you had a good time with the fellas,
Yes.
and you met a woman.
But,
This
I mean,
is amazing.
A
This
key
is
to
amazing.
success for me in my life, right?
Okay, step one.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously I'm old, and so my thoughts
Not
are
that old.
going to have coffee and tea. But
Uh-huh.
if it wasn't that, what would be your thought for a good first date? If you were gonna maybe take this to at least maybe a friendship level and hanging out.
Maybe second base. I don't even know what base would be described as. But I'm kind of old school in the fact that I would like a coffee date, meeting up somebody for coffee, because I like coffee so much. I consume so much of it. At least 1 cup a day now is what I kind of do to keep the doctor away, Doc. So I wouldn't mind doing that, having that kind of a date to start it off and see where it takes us.
Awesome. So you're thinking potentially just continue the talks.
At least a little bit.
Let her know
Keep
more.
it low key and then see where it takes us because I got to see if she's really, really intrigued by me.
Okay.
I mean, she liked what she saw on last Saturday night at the bar, but it was dark. I don't know what she saw. I don't know what I saw.
Maybe
truly.
next week you shoot her a text, say, hey, I do a podcast. My co-host is real nice. He's a psychologist. Would you come on there and just be willing to have some fun and be interviewed by my co-host and have some fun? That's it.
Have some fun with my co-host. He would love
Yeah.
to have some fun with you.
No, all we would do is just say, hey, how'd you meet Vito? Are you ready for a friendship? Do you think that a guy of Vito's quality is humble enough to take you out? What kind of things you like? We'd interview her. Listen, we have fun here on the podcast, but being a friend is great. And I think that by passing my test, you have to have your boys interview her and make sure she's okay. So I should be the first one to really get a spidey sense, because remember now, it's great to have female friends, okay? But if you go down the slippery slope of getting involved in a relationship with somebody and they have like mental health challenges, like that bipolar situation going on, you got to avoid that and run like the plague. And who better to sniff out the bipolar than the DOC? I could smell mental health problems from a mile away. Just by 3 questions I could ask, I'd know if this person is dateable, friendable, or just,
Bangable. I don't know how to say, but
Yeah, you
so
got it.
What are those 3 questions, Mr. Psychologist? Oh, you don't want to reveal them?
That's for future editions
Okay.
of Vito's Law. You can't drop all the advice right then and there. People aren't going to listen. But step 1, continue to be nice and cool and be awesome and be yourself. And great job for you. So you're texting her during work hours, or when are you texting her? Were you texting her during this recording?
No, but earlier in the day.
Today you did?
Earlier in the day.
What'd you ask about? I forgot.
That's when I found out about what she does for fun with her friends.
Okay, going to New York City and hanging out in Rockefeller Center with the kids. And what else did she do?
I mean, that was pretty much it so far. So there's not too much.
Where does she live?
Intriguing stuff so far.
In Michigan?
I'll tell you, I guess. In Sterling Heights. So I know that's going to intrigue you so much more. That's why I didn't want to say it.
She was
Look at you
right
now.
here.
Right here. I know what you were going to think and say. Oh, yeah.
Vito.
Well, hey, if these things continue, yeah, I'll bring her in. How about that?
No,
So-
yes, of course. Step 1, obviously, you're not going to have her invade the studio that
No.
fast. No. Step 1, hang out a little bit, text more, and potentially we got a phoner guest. We'll have some entertainment. We'll have a quality interview, and we'll have some fun with it. I'm very proud of you.
Really quick. Do you like my haircut? You didn't even notice that I got a haircut.
You didn't notice I got a haircut, so what?
You did? Oh. Anyways, I was going to ask you regarding the haircut too. Is it good enough to intrigue her and other ladies moving forward? That's a really important question for me. You don't look too pleased with it right now. Now, I think it's good. I think it's rather tasteful, but you tell me.
Listen, it's more along the line of young boy look,
Oh, good. So
It
I'm
is.
looking like a young boy all over again. Without and because I shaved,
Yeah.
clean shaven, probably makes me look younger. I'm always going to look a little bit younger than I really am, I think, too.
I really think, potentially for you, that you would look more masculine and ready to date if you spiked your hair up.
You think so?
Mohawk look would,
I've
I
done-
think would look
Mohawk
bad.
for me?
Yeah, it would look good
Bad
on
as
you.
hell for me?
I feel like you instead of having it conservative like how I did in my 20s, you spike it up a little bit, some gel, and be a little bit more rugged.
But I thought when you were conservative in your 20s, that was the reason why you got laid all the time, though. By moving your hair, a little bit to the side.
Exactly. You move it to the side. Oh man, you should see pictures. I did have a full head of hair. I haven't got complimented.
I barely can even believe it right now looking at you. And now you're so uncomfortable with your head and lack of hair on your head. You should be comfortable in your own skin, like we talked about a few episodes ago. On
So you said your mother was made aware of the situation. What was her talk with you?
Well, if I tell her that she has a kid, adios. By the way, I don't intend on marrying this woman. I mean, to let it be known to the masses. But it's not about that, right?
No, it's not about that. It's that you've taken the next step. You have a female friend. Good for you.
Female friend, correct.
Listen, pardon the crassness of this question, but I'm just curious because you were talking about it. Your mother and father. Who gave you the sex talk? Who taught you about sex? How did you learn about it?
Want me to tell you the truth?
No, I want you to
and I
lie
don't
to me.
think it'll offend them. They never talked to me about it.
You never learned the
I've
birds and
heard
the bees?
more about sex and
From Nick?
Look at you. How do you already know the ins and outs of sex and how to do it? What to do when you're engaged in it?
Okay.
From Nick Schmiegel. Got to name drop him for that.
No
He
problem.
would love hearing about that.
Wait, so Nick taught you the particulars? Like you used the words like
I
you
know
put
what
this
he's,
in this?
I know what it's all about. I'm not dumb. I mean, what do you think I don't know here, man?
Wait, no, I want to know how he taught you about it. Like he said, okay, let's watch this adult video and let's teach you, or...
We weren't watching any adult videos together. I'll just say that. Like, I don't want to watch any adult videos with him or any other man. So don't get the idea that we're going to start watching some adult videos together all of a sudden.
Good.
I don't want to.
So what, like when you said he taught you through it and he got you through it, what did that mean? Like he just sat you down
He
and
actually showed me he was actually doing a woman, and then I watched him and learned from it. No,
okay.
Yeah, that's how I learned, okay? The proper way of learning is that in 2017.
That's
all kidding aside.
What a great friend he is.
Right? What you have loved to have learned from Kenny, how to do it, right? You could have watched Kenny or one of your good buds, right? You would have just loved that growing up. I mean, who wouldn't love that? But all kidding aside, Nick's a bit more experienced, can teach me a few more things. I would kind of feel uncomfortable talking to my dad or mom about sex. But maybe more comfortable talking to my mom, actually. Now, for you, who gave you the sex talk?
It was my dad. He told me the particulars. I was older. I was like 13, 14.
You were like 20, 20.
Like many young adolescent males, I got my hand on some magazines. And
you did early? Or how early on?
12, 13.
Okay.
And, started asking questions. And he sat me down and said, look, you want to be in the context of a loving relationship. He set me, he was honest. It's fun. It's what adults do. But you got to be mature. There's a chance you could have babies and you're not ready. So he kind of went the conservative route about telling me how important it is to wait until you're married and stuff like that. He was conservative about it, but he didn't freak out or he didn't... When
you kept bringing women home, he wasn't freaking out, Doc?
Exactly. He was not, he gave me the high five on the side. And
a little fist bump.
Fist bump. And while I was telling my sister, don't you dare date anybody until you get married. So it was, unfortunately, gender stereotypical in my household where I was allowed to do a lot as the firstborn, and my sister was on lockdown. She married her first boyfriend. And that was
good for her.
She married her first boyfriend, and it was awesome.
Wait, you didn't marry your first girlfriend?
No,
I thought you did.
I did not marry my first girlfriend. I did not wait until I was married to engage in those activities.
So, how many girlfriends before your wife?
Ooh, I had a couple meaningful, loving relationships. Nothing. I can state for the record, I never did a one and done. I was never into that because I was always of the opinion, if you had a good time with somebody, why not do it again? So I never was into one night stands because I value myself a lot more. I was an individual that cared, and the good thing is, besides obviously the love of your life, I've never really made a woman cry before. Obviously with your wife, you say things you're not supposed to say and make stupid comments you're not supposed to make. But outside of my wife, I've never made a woman cry before, ever. But
so now you're admitting to making a woman cry.
I've been married 8 years. Everyone knows that's been married. Sometimes your wife will ask you. She'll be like, "Do I look fat in this?" And you'll be like, "Oh, that's ugly. Don't put that on."
And you admitted it. You were dumb enough to admit it. Yeah.
And then she gets too emotional. Yeah, you say things you're not supposed to say sometimes. But my wife and I are great. We talk to each other with respect. We've been together now 9 years, married for 7. I'm going to be married to my wife forever. I mean, we're never getting divorced. Never ever. There's nothing that's going to separate me and my wife. So it's great.
We'll check back on episode 145.
Yeah, we'll check back on 145. Or check back after episode 45 to see if she hears this.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy. I'm so unbelievably proud of you, Vito, that you were able to, in 7 days, meet a young lady. And I can't wait to talk to Nick. I think we got to get Nick in here now. We've talked about him damn near 25 episodes
Way too
in
much.
a row.
Way too much love for that guy, by the way.
You need to schedule a time where he can come in here and we can talk about your friendship because he was damn near your dad. He taught you about sex.
Yeah, kind of. I don't want to look at it like that because I don't want him being my dad. Trust me, he acts like he's my dad at times, and I'm not loving that all the time.
So when Nick,
Yes.
took the plunge for the first time, did he come tell you, give you a high five, and be like,
I don't know where he was or when it was.
"Oh, you don't"?
He was
know?
younger
Mm-hmm.
in high school. That's all I know.
You didn't know.
No,
So your parents never gave you the sex talk, huh?
never had the sex talk. I never needed it. I wasn't that kid though. Really though, they knew I wasn't going to be just.
Why not?
I never got in. I was never really interested, I guess, at first or in any of that. Like in high school, I wasn't deeply engaged in talks with any woman. Was never really looking for that. I'm barely even looking for it now, but I am looking for it more. I mean, I care about it now. I really
so
do look
technically,
when I'm out of the bar.
The bad influence in this relationship.
You're the bad influence, the most negative influence in my life ever.
Well,
No, not at all.
This has made for some good content. I'm very happy that in Vito's Love Tales that you took my advice, you went out there, you had fun. Easy on the drinking. Obviously, you don't want to be dancing on escalators, but tell your friends that you don't do snaps because they go away. You just take a video and it lives forever. Take a video.
That's why they shouldn't be taking the videos.
Yeah.
Do the snap because it does go away. When you're the guy that's drunk and being video recorded, that's when you want the Snapchat to be going on instead of a actual video recording that lives on forever, huh?
So with this new friendship with this young lady, do you see yourself hanging out outside of just chit-chatting on the text?
Or outside of the confines of this studio?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the future.
Oh.
Down the line. I don't know how far down the line, but
Okay.
well, I got to figure it all out.
Oh.
A lot of figuring out to do always with me.
Okay, so you're still assessing how you feel
Yeah.
about the story and how this is going to progress.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And how old is your kid? She's 33. 13, hopefully? Older? How old is your kid?
Wait, time out.
It's
time
important.
Out.
How old is her kid?
So wait, the younger he or she is, the worse?
Yeah.
So wait, the older he or she is, the better. Just to clarify all this, why is that, by the way?
It's
So wait, time
important.
out.
You want a teenager?
I want a teenager to raise.
Yeah.
When
because it's only 5 years, the kid will be gone.
Good point. I have found out that this individual is 12.
Oh, perfect. That
So
is
not
so.
that young, right? Which is better, huh?
That's that's great. She's a preteen. That way, they're almost on their way to adulthood. That's awesome. I think that's really great.
Okay, and time to move on, I think, from all of this. A good chat, though. A healthy chat, right? We learned something about me. We kind of learned something about you. We always try to learn something about both of us here on Two Bad Hombres. And one other thing I want to learn from you really, really quick here. So you talked about gender stereotypical behavior from a dad, how your dad treated your sister.
Yep.
How are you going to be with your daughters, you think? Is it going to be tough for them to bring home a guy?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
I mean, we're going to have the talk that we want it to be in the confines of marriage. We want it to be conservative because it's really hard nowadays. I mean, it's straightforward gender stuff. I mean, it's a lot harder to engage in sexual relationships at a young age, especially because of emotions and things like that. And guys are just looking to, engage in those activities. Guys are pigs. So I'm just going to say, look, in the context of a relationship, we hope that it's a situation where it's loving. And of course, they cannot go on dates. And I will definitely be.
They cannot go on dates.
Not at all. Not
When?
until 18, adulthood. When they become adults.
Wait, how about in high school?
No.
Homecoming? Prom? Isn't that a date, kind of?
No, they're not doing that kind of stuff.
Where they're not going to homecoming or prom?
Absolutely not. They're not going to know what it is.
What are you going to do?
I'm locked down. What am I going to do is I'm going to
How are
say.
you going to not allow them to know that it's going on when they're in high school? They see it, they hear it, they're on Snapchat or whatever.
Here's how you play this game, Vito, and you got to play in advance. You got to know your cards. So here's what I would do. I would say, look, you want this nice vehicle at 16? You can choose. You want to go on dates or you want daddy support? And they're going to want daddy support. And so I'll say, look, I'll help you guys out if you follow along, if you play the game. And if you're good girls and you follow along with daddy, there'll be nice rewards for you at the end of the rainbow. But if you want to go down the left side and the not nice road, well, you might have to be moving out at 18. We don't want that. And they don't want that either. And I know they won't want that because they're going to say, wow, we love our house. We love the
love
cars.
our daddy.
We love daddy. We love the privileges. And it's hard, too, because really it is. I mean, I told people that they shouldn't be engaged in that at least until they're 21. Be ready to do it. Be ready. Young ladies and guys, too, because, you could get pregnant. I mean, every time you engage in those behaviors, you could get pregnant. And that's just what happens. So
really, you can scare off anybody with that talk, yeah.
What's your opinion as a new dad maybe in the next year?
Well, when I do become a dad in the next year, so I will let my daughter do whatever she wants. No, I'm going to be stingy. I agree that you have to be a little bit strict at least. I don't know how strict. Might be overbearing how you described it, that you will be with your daughters when they become of age and are in high school. I'll let them go to homecoming and prom, but do I want them dating guys all throughout high school? No. But do they have the right to have a boyfriend in high school? Yes. But how much do I allow her to do with that guy outside of the warm confines of my house? Probably very little, but you still have to give her some privileges and the freedom to go out and do a little bit of stuff and to experience a little bit of stuff before college. Because I think you have to fear if you don't let your daughter or son do enough in high school, they rebel in college. Isn't there that factor also to consider when you're raising a child? And I'm not even close to raising a child here. Well, maybe I am in the next year, but realistically, I'm not even close. And I do view it from an outsider's opinion that you can't let your child or restrict him or her from everything in life when they're growing up, though, either, because you don't want them rebelling in college. That's my viewpoint, Doc.
Understood. Very much so. I'm liking where this is going. I'm thinking of very good talks in the future regarding your situation. I'm very happy that you're very in a situation where you're happier and developing new relationships. Good stuff.
I'm happy. You're happy. I hope everybody else was entertained and was happy because of this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres 2. And I'll sign off. With that being said, Doc, a pleasure talking to you. And for all your sex tips, love advice, I mean, great stuff always from you, Doc. And we'll talk to you again next Saturday here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
See everybody next week. Good shows ahead. Stay tuned, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
Head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs.